What is going on, everybody? It's your buddy Dave with the Nissan Nation podcast, and we're here to review this Nissan Sentra. This is a 2017 model, but don't fear, they haven't changed this car in a few years. So if you're looking at an 18, 19, it's damn near identical. So let's get into this car. This car has 124 horsepower, and you're like, man, that thing's gonna really set me back in my seat, right? No. Because mated to that four-cylinder, 1.8 liter four-cylinder car is a CVT transmission. And I'm not going to be one of those guys that just start crapping on it like the popular thing to do, because CVTs have their point, and their point is this car. The CVT transmission in this car is made for one thing, miles per gallon, and that's what this car does. You can get anywhere from 29 city to 37 highway in it. I've gotten 35 in this thing on trips, so I know it can do it. It probably could do it better if I did it in eco mode, but I want to feel somewhat spirited driving a car, right? So let's get into this thing. This is a 2017 S model. You're getting hubcaps, you're getting AM FM radio, CD player, Bluetooth, you get hands-free phone usage, you get cruise control, and that's about all you're getting. That's about it, guys. This is a commuter car. This car is practical. This car is built for somebody who's not an enthusiast, even though there is a super big crowd of enthusiasts for this car. But this car is made for people who just need a car to get them to work and back, go to wherever and back. It's just a practical vehicle. It's not supposed to be like exciting. It's not like the new Altima all-wheel drive where it, you know, with a turbo or anything. It's just supposed to be a car. And that's kind of what it is. So let's jump into this. Like I said, you're getting a 1.8 liter four-cylinder engine. It's an engine that Nissan has built for quite a while. They put it in everything from the Juke, this, I forget what others. There's a few cars they've put this motor into, and there's generally nothing bad to be said about the motor. It's pretty practical. You can get a turbo version of this. They actually do make a Nismo version of this car, which you can actually get a manual transmission. And still front wheel drive, but it's a fun car, and you're getting, I want to say 160 or 180 horsepower. But four wheels, four tires, grill, motor, that's about the excitement of this. The design of it is it's actually pretty sporty looking. You know, you can be kind of humorous and kind of crap on a commuter car, but Nissan's done quite well with this. You know, it's not the boring days of just a box that gets you to point A to point B. It's now they're putting some styling in it. If you'll recognize the V-motion styling of this, it's big on anything Nissan seems to do right now. The hood and everything just goes right into the V, real sharp. Very different from what everybody else sort of does. Everybody has a unique take on their brands, but this is Nissan's. And I actually like it. I like the headlights. I like the headlights on this car a lot better than the last generation Altima. For some reason, I don't know, it just seems to fit it a little better. You kind of get some exciting bumper to it. It tries to give you a little something for the $16,000 to $18,000 you're going to pay for this car. So let's jump inside and let's see what all the fuss is about. So the first thing, go through the door here a little bit. They actually do a nice little bit of leather right there. It's all plastics, what you can expect from a car of this price point. It actually sits very comfortably, like most cars do now. You know, they're all about the same anymore. I hate to be that way, but they kind of, within the Nissan brand, they all have a sort of similar sitting position. So, all right, so steering wheel, it's round, what you can expect in a car, right? Let's get into so you're getting your hands-free device, so you can pair your phone with it, answer that way. I know a lot of states are actually starting to require that. You get your volume, you get your source, so you can go through your instrument panel. You can go up and down through that, your pages, you got your cruise control and everything. Then you get over here to the radio system, you know, whatever. Generally, especially at a price point like this, it's going to be a young buyer, they're going to want. So you're getting your CD, AM, FM. There is no satellite radio in this one. Sorry, folks. This is an S model, so you know you're limiting the radio. But I know in the nicer packages you get a nice AM, FM, you know, XM radio, everything, all the details. But it is Bluetooth, so that is nice. So if you have your iPhone, your Android, or whatever you want to pair with it, you can always do that. Obviously, you got your AC. You know, you can change that. All your features. You got a rear defrost, front defrost, and that's about it. You get nice AUX. And you know, the seats. The seats, actually a little bit of styling to these seats. They're quite nice. It does actually sit very comfortable. And you wouldn't think for a car of this price point that it would be real comfortable. But I am very amazed at riding this thing for, we brought it back from Atlanta to Middle Tennessee. So that was a nice 3.5 hour trip. And I was very, very comfortable in this thing. There's seating in this car. There is seating for 5. Would I put 5 in this car? No. But what I would put is 4 comfortably. And as you can see, it would sit 4 fairly nice. Got your nice headrests. I guess you could put a car seat maybe in the middle, and nobody would, the baby wouldn't mind. All right, so we get in the back seat of this thing, and actually quite a lot of room in this thing. I'm very, very surprised. I'm 5'8", so I'm not on the tall scale, but there's a good amount of room in between, and you could scoot that back, and I still wouldn't feel like I was being shoved into there. Like some of the older cars, I used to have problems. They just would cram everything, you know, it was cramming you into this little compartment, and it just wasn't comfortable. Nothing super exciting back here. I guess if you wanted something to store something there and it fall all over the place, you've got a place for your stuff to fall all over. All right, so let's get into this thing and feel like what 1.8 liters of 124 horsepower feel like. So this car, you know, is a commuter car, and that's what it is. It's built for miles per gallon. I think this thing averages like 29 city, 37 highway. I know we've had it on trips and we've gotten 35 out of it pretty easy. I wouldn't say it was spirited driving, because there's nothing about this car that's going to lend itself to spirited driving. But this car, you know, for the price point, 16 somewhere in there, you know, it's a great first car, which is what we helped our son get this one for. Was his first car that he bought on his own. He had a Civic before this, like an 06 Civic that his mother gave him. Poor thing, 260,000 miles. It was just falling apart. So I was like, let's look at the Sentra, and he fell in love with it. And our buddies over at Regal Nissan helped us with getting him set up for his first big car purchase. This car, you know, it suited my 22-year-old son very well. He's not a car guy like me. He just wants something that gets him back to A and B, and you know, and this is the type of car for it. And there's a buyer for cars like this. You know, I may crap on this car just a little bit, but there is people, I would say more than 50% of the car buying, you know, people in America especially, they just want a car. As long as it has cruise control, a radio, air condition, that's kind of what they want. They're not into, you know, the latest, you know, like a GTR, you know. Most people don't care about horsepower and in a fun-spirited driving. So that's where these type of cars come in. And people with small families, great car for them for that. Especially for 4. I mean, you could shove somebody in the middle, but you know, unless you had to, I wouldn't. I would step up to a larger SUV or a larger sedan. This car, like going around corners, it actually handles quite well. I'm amazed how good cars are nowadays. There's not a lot of, when I was a kid, it was like the imports were great on fuel mileage. The motors, you couldn't kill the motors, and they were just fun to drive. Where some of the GM, the Ford, stuff like that, they were more worried about horsepower and big American features, you know, power windows, stuff like that. Where a lot of the imports were, you know, manual windows, and this anymore, everything has power, everything. This, I really feel like if this was in a manual transmission, it would be a pretty fun car to drive, especially for going around corners, as I'm doing now, because it actually handles quite well. You know, it's a front-wheel drive car. I know I sound like I'm kind of crapping on this car a little bit because it is a commuter car, but there's, you know, it's really light. And really light cars, you know, there's 124 horsepower in this thing. the killing point of it is just the CVT. And even at that, the CVT is doing exactly what it's supposed to. It's supposed to be smooth. It's not supposed to pin you back. It's smooth for a reason, for miles per gallon. Anytime you shift, it always messes with, you know, your stuff like that. So there you have it, guys. That is the review of this 2017 Sentra. Am I excited to drive this thing when I drive it? Probably not. But there really is a purpose for this car, and this car serves that purpose super well. Be it the gas mileage, or you know, just you needing a first-time car, or you just needing a cheap car that gets you to point A, point B. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this thing a 6.5. Could it be a little bit better? Probably. I kind of like, there was others I kind of like. I think the Versa, especially the Versa hatchback note, I think is a little better bargain, even though it supposedly seats 5 like this. I just like the styling of that car a little bit better, but that's nothing against this car. This car is actually, they're starting to look old. This design's been around. They've refreshed it once, but it's been around for quite a while. And Nissan does have something new coming around maybe next year. So 1 to 10, like I said, a 6.5. When you put it in sports mode, it is a little bit more fun to drive. Eco mode, it's horrible to drive, but that's the point of eco mode, right? It's to save on your MPGs, and it does that quite well. I do think it's a bargain. There are other makes out there that make cars in a similar, you know, price point, but I do think this is a bargain for what you're getting. Like most things Nissan, they generally have pretty good rebates on their vehicles. The one downfall to these cars, this and the Altima and stuff, they like fleet sales, and that just seems to kind of take away from the resale value of these things sometimes. So I guess that's a plus if you're looking for a used one. So you can $10,000, $13,000 will find you a used one of these all day long. And it is a car. So from all things Nissan here in Middle Tennessee to wherever you watch us here on YouTube, this is your Nissan Nation podcast review of the 2017 Nissan Sentra, and we're out. Peace. This 2017 Nissan Sentra, and you're like, guy, could it get more badass than this? And I'm like, yeah, it probably could. This is a commuter car all day long, guys.